ghostly mark. Cobwebs twine and shadows dance in this twilight somber trance. Candles flicker, weary wicks, ancient echoes, time's cruel tricks. Marble figures, frozen pose, amidst the silence sorrow grows. Whispering shadows, secrets keep in the depths where night meets sleep. Underneath the velvet gloom, guardians of the haunted room. Chandeliers in crystal tears reflect forgotten yesteryears, softly chanting distant cries. Through the arches sorrow sighs. Gargoyles watch with stony gaze, guardians of endless maze. Pipe organ's breath begins to rise, filling air with mournful ties. Whispering shadows, secrets keep in the depths where night meets sleep. Underneath the velvet gloom, guardians of the haunted room.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Lady Red of the Black Pants Legion, and I can currently hear myself, and that's terrible. There we go. And we're back for more Shoal, and I have once again stolen Lictor. Say hi, Lictor.
Hello. Hello. Oh, hi, Lecter.
Hi,
I
Lictor.
do not. Yes, indeed, I do. I am. We are. It's a royal week.
Topics, huh? Yes, yeah, I am indeed an upsetty matriarch. Doctor Who has started a terrible, terrible trend, and we must now all go and hit Neff with bats, and I'll explain why presently. Hopefully, both Lictor and I are at audible, normal volume this week. How are we doing with that, chat? Is everything the way it should be, or is OBS OBSing?
Are we masking up my robotic aggressive voice with the alarm I stole from someone over the spaceship? Hi.
I see we've got many of the usual faces in chat. It seems okay. Excellent. Yes, lick napping it's a weekly thing. It's very fun, and by decree and agreement, Lictor gets to steal me tomorrow because Rogue Trader things.
Yes, indeed. I shall bring the low sticks.
Robo Lictor, I do not know why that happens, because Lictor sounds perfectly fine to me.
Oh, dip? What's a dip?
Lictor is roboting a bit. I'm going to guess that's an OBS/Twitch thing, because he sounds fine to me, and there's literally no setting I can tinker with for that. I'm so sorry. I think Twitch just throws a fit periodically. There's too much Lictor for Twitch to contain. It can't handle it.
It's the thing. OBS and I are rival AIs, and
yes.
I'm sorry, they want to expose me as the robot that I am.
Quick, stick
They
another
wish
top
to
hat
put-
on top of your top hat. The Twitch will never know.
Radio. I'm on it.
Buy a hat for your hat. It'll be fine. Yeah,
Yes.
it is a known thing with OBS that it will sometimes do that. Unfortunately, I have no knob or twiddle-dee-dee that I can fiddle with that will fix it.
Yep. No worries.
Alas.
They'll hear me. Alas. We shall find Yorick, skin him, and wear him as a top hat.
Yes, this sounds excellent. What a good idea.
Yes, of
All
course.
right, so yeah, we've had another week. Subathon is continuing over this weekend, and I hear you guys started the weekend with Whirlin this morning, doing some fun stuff, and hopefully you guys had a good time with him. And now we're going to do some more shenanigans. We've got more character creation to get to. We've got more calendar to look at, because we were very clever beans last week and broke out Aeon Timeline and started doing advanced spreadsheets. For
Yes.
crazy people, and it was very fun. I had a
Yes.
lot of fun with that.
We had leap years.
Whirlin
Oh,
took you robot
5.
hunting. Oh goodness, lick to hide.
I will not hide. I will stand proud. I will be the dumb vegetarian, the dumb vegetarian massive stegosaurus. No, spreadsheets are not the final boss. Spreadsheets are how you get the final boss.
Spreadsheets in the case of Aeon Timeline for me are the procrastination device. That Aeon Timeline is where I like to go when I'm in the middle of writing a novel or a story or something where I've got to get through like the boring bit of the prose, the bit that joins up the speech or the action, and I just need to write this scene, but it's really boring and I don't want to, and I'm procrastinating, and I've already steamed the curtains and washed down all the surfaces in the house, and I'm looking for another way to avoid doing the work I know I should be doing. I know, I'll load up spreadsheets.
Okay. I mean, usually when I use spreadsheets is when I need to crunch where the 20,000 artillery shells have went last week. But then again,
See, nobody's
I like
dumb
yours
enough.
better.
Nobody's dumb enough to leave me in charge of artillery shells. That would be a terrible idea.
Okay. I mean, better to have the people who do not power in power, but that is deviating close to rational philosophy. Let's move away and do some show.
Yes, Kai has just made a very right point. Times when you go, you, character I made, you're boring, talk better. You, also character I made, you're also boring, be less boring. So there is a very simple writer's tip to fall back on when that happens. And that writer's tip is, are you currently showing the most exciting moment in this character's life? And if not, why not? And sometimes there is a good reason why you're not, and focusing in on that will sometimes help you get past the boring character issue. It's also
I'm
really
currently
helpful.
adding a bowler hat to my top hat.
Excellent, this sounds amazing. One of the other really useful things for writing when you have characters that are doing that is go and find a long-suffering friend who will put up with you and tell them that you need to gush about your characters, and that can help you figure it out. You'll be like, look, I've got this character, and they're cool because of this, this, and this, but they're being really boring at the moment because of that, that, and that, and all of a sudden you'll find ways to solve it.
I like to use a rubber duck.
Rubber ducks are
For that.
wonderful. They're great for programming, and yeah, they can be used. The only problem for writing is they don't talk back, and sometimes you need somebody to tell you you're being an idiot, or that you're just
All
wrong.
you need to do is you could be wrong, or you can install the latest LLM on them, and then they will say things to you.
Oh my
When
goodness.
they start telling you to murder people is when you shut them down. Pro tip. None of the LLMs tell you this. They don't want you to know. Big AI don't want you to know.
But as
But
the
when they
biggest
tell you to
AI,
kill
the most
people-
advanced AI, you're telling us the secrets.
I'm telling you the ancient secrets. The homegrown AI. The stuff they don't give you in the store. Only in the farmer's market.
See, if you're an AI and you're a Legionnaire AI, I mean, the world is doomed. Yes, we have
but
exposed this AI to the Legion, and nothing bad will come of it, we promise.
I mean, me and Buttbot have been on it for a while now.
Oh, Buttbot.
Exactly. I mean, I'm not alone in it. I have co-conspirators.
The rubber duck method is used across a lot of disciplines, yes. Rubber duck can be very helpful.
Indeed. And how are you doing, dear chat?
Chat's being very patient with us today. And it's been a week. We've got some topics to talk about today. They're going to range across a gamut of emotions and things that are going on. I have a terrible book to tell you guys about. Thankfully, it's a very short book, so that's great. How many war crimes get invented on each of your streams? Oh, none. We would never do that. We never invent war crimes. Just, sparkling Prussian tactics.
Exactly. Besides, it's not war crimes. We're not inventing war. We're discovering.
Yes, they're discoveries.
Yes, they're discoveries. We're not inventing anything. We're committing no war crimes. We are discovering the acts, the villainous acts of other people.
Yes.
Mostly radicals.
It's very, very historical and noble and academic, and nothing bad happens on this stream ever.
Exactly. We are completely innocent. Also, watch our VODs to make sure none of it is incriminating.
Also, I blame Zork. All of it is Zork's fault.
I mean, he does get the evil scientist amnesty pact, didn't he?
I think so, yes.
Okay, so that's fine.
All right, so I think what we'll do is we'll start with a very brief discussion of the terrible book that I read, which is a war crime, and Neff needs hitting with bats for it. Somebody did ask earlier, do we need the foam bats or the hard-hitting stuff? I'll let you decide after I tell you about the book that I read. After that, we're going to touch on something a little bit sad very briefly, and then we're going to translate it into something positive, and we will do show stuff. Probably look at our calendar, and then we'll do character creation. So, got plenty of time this week. Plenty of time.
We've got stuff to do.
We do. So, as many of you know who have been here on previous streams, Doctor Who decided it was a really good idea to buy me the Battletech romance book, Hungry Like the Wolf. I have so far read about a third of it. It almost killed me. It's absolutely terrible, and once I get all of my art projects off of my boards for this year, I'm going to be rewriting the book in the style of Chuck Tingle, because it's the only way that there will be any justice on this ridiculous excuse for a world that we live on. So that's still in the process, and that will happen. However, Neff took this as a challenge and decided that he also needed to send me a book. And he sent me a book called The Last Vampire on Earth. And I would like to tell you a little bit about this book. The first thing I'm going to tell you about this book is that the title is a lie. It never comes up that this person is the last vampire on Earth. It does not matter, and it's awful. Some of you might have heard of this book because it is a novelization of a very terrible Italian film. And if you know anything about Italian filmmaking, Italy is perfectly capable of making good films, but they are also perfectly capable of making very cheap, extremely subpar knockoffs of popular things that are happening elsewhere in the world. Whether it be, and this has been going on for decades, the knockoffs of the Alien franchise that exist in the Italian film market are unique and special. So somebody over there saw Twilight and decided that they needed to make an extremely cheap movie knockoff that hits on a couple of the points of Twilight to try and capitalize. And they came up with The Last Vampire on Earth, and it is terrible. This movie is... It's like you gave high schoolers free range to make a vampire movie. However, the high schoolers were all coked up on sugar and hadn't actually passed any of their exams for the last decade. It's very stupid. It is very, very stupid. And thankfully, it is very, very short. So, the other things I'd like to tell you about this book before I tell you the plot for anybody who hasn't heard of it. The book is, let me see, it is how many pages long? It is 100 pages long. thankfully. Of that, the last 20 pages are still shots from the movie of the main characters, which is to say the entire cast near enough, with a little snippet underneath the picture of them, basically telling you where are they now after the book ends. Most of these don't make sense. We're going to talk about some of them, because if I have to suffer, so do you. So 20 pages of this 100-page book are just pictures with a tiny bit of text underneath. The text is in size 26. It is in a very pleasant font, but it's also double-spaced. So there's about 50 pages of content in this book. And you can't do a heck of a lot with 50 pages of content. This isn't even a novella. This is a short story that shouldn't exist. Yeah, correct, Wilf. This is dropping from novella to short story. It is abysmal. Chapters take 3, maybe 4 pages. And the only reason they take 3, maybe 4 pages is because in the middle of the text, there will be very small thumbnails of images that were used in the movie. For no good reason. In black and white. And it just, some of these paragraphs are just broken up by there's just suddenly a picture in the middle of it. It's terrible. The cover of this book, when I first received it and looked at it, I went, oh no, that's the author and her at the time boyfriend, isn't it? And Neff responded to me and said, no, that's the actors who played the main roles in the movie, which caused me to go down the rabbit hole of finding out a bit more about this. Neither of them look like how the characters are described. They are not particularly compelling figures, and the only excuse I can find for them possibly agreeing to be part of this is they were probably somewhere between 15 and 17 at the time, which in itself is concerning. But there are adults in this book who agreed to be part of the movie, and I don't know why, because, oh god. So let's talk briefly about the plot of this book that Neff decided I had to read. The plot of this book...
I will hasten to say,
yes,
during all this tirade,
yes,
you agreed to read it.
Well, yes, somebody sent me something, and that has to happen. And
Yeah, I hasten to point out that everybody has to understand that despite it all, despite all the red flags, Lady Red is probably named for her ignorance and disregard of red flags.
Oh, no.
There were more red flags here than Mayday Parade. What is going on? When's enough?
I see the red flags, and I decide I have to charge into them to save everybody else from suffering them. And then after I've suffered them, I'm like, no, I had to suffer this, and now I must inflict it on everybody else. So that's what happens.
Why are you reverse Jesus?
Yes, I am in fact reverse Jesus.
I mean, you can get cosmic powers, okay? Now I'm going to design the cosmic power of inflicting other people
Inflicting
with
terrible
the bad
books.
literature, with the terrible books they've consumed. I inflict upon you 70 hours of raw Twilight energy. Go, suffer.
Welcome in, the Jade Cage, first time chat, says, isn't there a point where too many red flags becomes good? Sort of, yes. There's been a couple of terrible books that I've read that have ended up being a really good time. One of them, of all books, was Model Land by Tyra Banks. I read that to my book club, and it is littered with red flags. But they are such unique red flags that we ended up having a whale of a time with that book, because it's just insane. There are 2 monsters that turn up in that book that if they were the stars of their own horror novels would be amazing monsters, but they're not. They're just stuck in the middle of this really weird Harry Potter-esque fashion model fantasy book written by a woman who was probably on drugs at the time and is just angry at the world for unspecified reasons. But that book, no, she can't write. That's the whole point. She cannot write, but damn does she have an imagination. I'm sure she was on something when she was writing it, but it was hilarious. We had such a good time with this terrible book that the red flags became good. it
I just have to say, it's not fair. Tara Banks can read and write. It, it's not fair to assume she can't.
it's just
I'm just
she
saying
can't
it.
do it well. But
I okay. There's a point where that's just being mean.
I mean, when you
No, no, no. Not doing it well is not the equation of incapable of the act.
having read Model Land, I mean, there is a degree.
There's agree.
So, to give you an
There is
idea
no
of just
innocence.
how bad Model Land can get, the girls literally get wife sacked into a bag to be taken off to become models when they are young ladies. There's things I'm not going to discuss because I haven't put the appropriate content warnings on this stream to do so. But to give you an idea, you've got the girls at the main model facility at school, etc. But they're supported by a cast of male architect students who are known as brotesterone or something like that, brostesterone. And it's terrible, but it's interesting in how
Okay,
terrible it is.
I'm retracting my former statement.
Yes. There's a point in the book where the monsters, because I see somebody asked about the monsters. One of them is just a
Yes.
monster made of legs that it's stolen from people it's killed on the Pilgrim's Path up to Model Land. And there's another one that's made of discarded instrument parts. It's an instrumonstrosity. And they're both fascinating, but they only turn up for like a scene in a chapter each, and that's really, 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 really sad. But
I have questions.
it's an interesting book. It was so interesting that by the time we got to the end of it and we'd all decided that this was a terrible book that we'd had a good time with, my sister was getting married, so I gave it to her as a wedding gift to read to her new husband on their honeymoon, and tucked a crap ton of money in the back page.
That is very good.
So
Also,
the reason why I don't just set the content warning to yes every week is, you remember the first week we talked about the Battletech romance novel? Well, I knew I was going to be talking about romance in general, so I very sensibly set the theme for the stream to the fact that we were going to discuss, sexual content. And none of the other streamers noticed, so the entire channel was set to horny mode for the entire weekend, which YouTube throws a fit about when we when we put things over onto YouTube for the VODs. So unless I desperately need to put content stuff on, I do try not to do it. Kai will know more about it than I do, because Kai is our very kind person who helps to port things over to YouTube. So please say thank you to Kai, chat. He is responsible for the VODs.
Gramos, yes, you are correct. The sum of our stupid is greater than any one of us, except perhaps. And I will let the sentence hang because the person who's the target is not in the audience. Anyway.
So, Last Vampire on Earth. I need to tell you guys the plot of this book because, oh my god, and I got distracted by better trash novels. The Last Vampire on Earth is about a young lady who is in college. I cannot remember what she's studying, but for some reason, even though it has nothing to do with what she's actually studying, she decides that she needs to do an English literature course. Her best friend is called Melissa, which is fine, and she does this English literature course. And bear in mind, she's in college at this point. She walks into her English lit class, and the professor wants them to study Dracula, and the only way that they're going to properly understand Dracula is by acting it out, and that's going to be their end of term assignment, is to put on a play of Dracula.
What?
In college.
What?
For English lit, they have to put on a play. So that's a thing. And of course, she runs into the vampire main character there, who, incidentally, throughout the entirety of this book, displays no vampiric weaknesses whatsoever, other than being very mildly discomforted by being around religious people. Not in a way that shows, but, And he shows no powers through the entirety of the book either. He's just a dude that we're told is a vampire. That's basically it. Correct. You don't have to have gone to college to know that that sounds wrong. And Introspective does make the good point that Dracula was... The whole point of Dracula as a novel that made it so compelling when it came out is that at the time it came out, it was very cutting edge for what it was doing. It was couched in the popular Gothic novel style of the time, but it's made up of newspaper clippings. It had the phonograph in it, which was a new invention at the time. And it was very much a series of recollections that allowed you to see multiple points of view written in different styles. And when you did see the characters directly interact with those clippings, it allowed you to have that cross-contamination of how we use communication, because the way that you write something is different to the way that you might tell somebody something is different to the way that you might put it into, these days, movies and video games. So by bringing in these different styles of communication, having it all mixed together and using the new cutting-edge technology as well as the older trends of passing information around, particularly when you think of the Demeter with its captain's log, which is a very couched way of communicating information. It's a very clever book, and reading the book is a pleasure. It's an absolute joy. I think one of the reasons it's survived so well through the ages, and of course it's one of my favourite books, is that because it has this interesting mix of media types and the way it presents its story and the thoughts of the characters that you're following, it makes it a very unique read. So despite being an older book, being a classic, having writing conventions that don't get used as much today, it's a very compelling book. Of course, it's been adapted to stage and movie many, many times. Everybody knows Bela Lugosi's performance. Most people will be familiar with Gary Oldman's performance as Dracula, and the ways that you can translate the story to the screen are interesting because you have to deal with that issue of this book was not made to be a movie. It was made to be a stage play, though, because, of course, Bram Stoker worked for Henry Cushing, the actor, and that was the ideal. Bela Lugosi is unfortunately dead, but buried in the Cape, so, you never know when he could turn up again. So Bram Stoker wanted it to be a stage play, but it didn't do well when he did it. It needed some of the more modern storytelling and modern attitudes to what we were willing to see on a stage or in movies when they came along to really elevate Dracula from its novelized form to a visual form. So, of course you could do a play of Dracula, but the interest there is in how you're going to present the story in a way that's compelling to the audience. Is that what goes on in this book? No. What they say in this book is that Dracula is the most complex character and hard to portray. When, if you know anything about the story of Dracula, Dracula is the most simple to understand of the characters involved in it, and the impetus of the story is how the human characters react to his threat. He's a very primal character. He's not that complicated because he doesn't have to be. But this book thinks that he's the most complex character, and the first scene that Aurelius, our male lead, who is a vampire, needs to practice with Chloe, our female lead, who is the daughter of a pastor, is the scene where Dracula makes Mina drink his blood. Because, of course, there's no build-up. It's just, yes, we are going to have an English literature class. Our characters have met. Now they're practicing the bloodletting scene.
Is that... I mean, this is as blunt as the beginning of the Horus Heresy.
You could just get hit over the head by a mallet and have a more enjoyable time than this book. So that's how the book starts, within, 10-15 pages. Yeah. We then jump to she's the daughter of a pastor, and she goes to the coffee shop with the vampire and invites him to come by her house for Sunday dinner for literally no reason. She's made him aware that, yeah, my family's very religious, and he's like, no, that's fine, I'll come over for dinner, that's completely fine. We then get to see her father doing a sermon. It's really, really, really bad, and everybody compliments on it. He does this sermon and literally everybody claps. This is the level of writing we're dealing with. Then the vampire comes over for Sunday dinner, which he chokes down as little as he possibly can, and it's very uncomfortable because religious people. And he talks about his major. He is in college to study hematology because he wants to find a cure for AIDS to help people. He's also taking this English literature class for reasons nobody understands. While he's discussing this at Sunday dinner with the very religious family, the religious family is like, oh, we don't believe in bloodletting as part of our religion, so your major is upsetting to us. But you seem like a nice young man, so we'll let it go. They continue practicing through the course of the book for this ridiculous play that's going to happen, and we get to have an interlude that is basically the entire middle of the book. An interlude on both sides. We have an interlude with the female character who has gone to the hospital to have her blood drawn for some checks because she is sick, TM. This is apropos of nothing. We are told nothing. And she's sick. And it's going to become important at the end of the book, but we're not told why now. So that's her interlude, is she is sick, TM, and it's making her very tired, but college is very important, and she's not telling anybody about whatever's going on with her. We then move over to our male lead's interlude.
What you're doing right now is, are you doing literary bloodletting on yourself?
Something like that, yes.
Okay, we are helping reduce the blood hemorrhage,
Developing in her brain,
the tumor that this book is creating. We are all helping. Yes.
It felt
go
like I
on.
was having a stroke reading this, I'm not going to lie.
Let's use some bloodletting and excise this.
Night Owl says plotitis, a terrible disease, yes. So the
Indeed.
male's interlude is he goes stomping up to a mobile blood bank that's visiting the college, you know, for blood donations. Waits till everybody has left except this one dude named Wayne. He stomps on board and is like, look, I want 5 gallons of blood and here's a crap ton of money for you to just bring it to me.
I see.
And the dude running this blood wagon is like, yeah, sure, that sounds fine. That's a lot of money. I'd like money. I'll bring this to your house. And he does. And of course, our male lead lives in a mansion. And this 5 gallons of blood that's been taken from a mobile blood bank that nobody apparently notices has gone missing. It takes multiple trips for Wayne, the blood bank guy, to bring inside. And
Yes, because it's 5 gallons, and you don't have that many gallons at any specific human, no matter how much bloodletting you're doing.
And when Wayne brings up, hey, this is quite a lot of blood you want. What on earth do you need it for, young teenage man? Aurelius turns around and says, it is for my leech experiments for college. And this is good enough for Wayne, who leaves with a lot of money in his pocket and no further questions. We then...
I sneezed. I'm sorry. I don't know what came over me. That is, I'm sorry. The amount of bullshit came from my head and went right out of my nose. I'm sorry. I don't know how to handle it.
So we then move back to Chloe and Aurelius, who are continuing to practice for this very important play. We never see them go to any classes anymore. We never see them do anything to do with their actual majors. You do hear Doggo. Ceres is shouting in the background. They're back from the park. A pet has been
Hello,
redeemed,
Ceres.
love. So we return to the practicing, and for reasons unknown to anybody, including the main characters, Chloe invites Aurelius over for Sunday dinner again. She now knows he's a vampire, incidentally, because he invites her over to his house, and she discovers the 5 gallons of blood in a spare room because she gets lost on the way to the bathroom, and she's like, my goodness, this person is sometimes rather chilly. He's uncomfortable around my family, and he has 5 gallons of blood in his house. He must be a vampire. And so she says this to him. She's like, are you a vampire? And he basically says yes. She then invites him over for dinner again. he goes to dinner and he eats the food, and they try to have a very nice time, and the family is enjoying his presence, and her younger brother is like, we should play ball in the backyard after. And so they start clearing up after dinner, and Aurelius excuses himself to the bathroom, and he's in there for a little bit because he has to throw up all the food that he ate. And when he comes out, Chloe's like, are you okay? And he's like, I had to throw up the food because it's not blood. That's the only thing I can eat because I'm a vampire. And surprise, surprise, the brother overhears this conversation. This leads to, like, 2 days later, the brother goes to the mum and dad and is like, by the way, Chloe's dating a vampire. I heard them talking. And nobody asks any questions. They just believe him. And the dad storms out because I'm not having my daughter date a vampire. That's heresy. So he goes to find her on her college campus and is like, are you dating a vampire? And she looks at him and is like, yes, but he's a good person and you know that. And the dad's like, no, I'm going to do something about this, and storms out, and she just falls over on the bed crying because, oh no, this is all my fault. I'm like, yeah, you could have just said, no, don't be so ridiculous.
But then, I have to interject.
Go for it.
If she would have been less silly and less stupid, then the book wouldn't have existed.
Yeah.
It's like the character needed a raison d'être. It required a reason to exist, and that reason is stupidity. Being an outrageously stupid, not being outrageously stupid would have negated her existence. She understood that, and thus took the only survivable option: be stupid. I'm sorry.
It gets more stupid because we haven't hit the peak of this stupid book as yet. We have 2 more peaks to hit of stupidity. So the dad buggers off to go and find Aurelius, and he does manage to find Aurelius and kidnaps him somehow. There's some stupid excuse of how they managed to do so. And they drag him off to the church and tie him to a stake, and they're going to set him on fire. And Chloe's like, I can't let this happen, despite the fact I'm so terribly sick. So she drives to her house, where her mum and dad just so happen to keep a very small pistol in a silver bag, a little clutch bag. So she grabs that and decides, oh, they must have gone to the church. She gets to the church, she finds that they've got Aurelius tied up and they're going to set him on fire, and she's like, no, you can't do this, I have a gun, I will shoot anyone who tries to. And then we get our stupid peak number 1 justification of, I mean, not justification, but I don't even know what to call this. We get to the point where she's like, the only reason you guys want to kill him and think he's evil is because you don't understand him. All he really wants in life is to help people. He wants to use his powers for good. He wants to cure AIDS, which might not be very important to you, but it is to people like me. That's right. I have AIDS, and he's going to help me. So that blood draw we had at the beginning of the book, she has hyper super turbo AIDS that isn't responding to any medication, and she's going to die, but college was much more important. And do you know how she caught AIDS? She got it in Africa while she was on her religious mission, and she was saving a young girl from some stupid event or the other, and didn't realise she had a cut on her arm, and the girl had a cut, and blood got into her cut, and she has AIDS, and the vampire is going to help her. So that happens. She then shoots a dude that tries to set Aurelius on fire anyway, like a Saturday morning cartoon villain. And then they run off into the night. But they still have time within like the next day or so to go and put on the performance at college to pass their college course. And we hit the other peak of this story when she has now revealed to the vampire, hey, I have AIDS and I want you to turn me. It's the only way to save my life. And he's been like, no, because that would curse you with my existence. when we've seen that he doesn't seem to have any powers and no weaknesses. So I don't know what the curse of his existence is. I mean, dude gets to live forever and stay young. I don't see the issue. There's literally no issues attached to this. And she's like, no, you must turn me. It is what I want.
I think that he gets to draw this sort of people around him consistently.
So, bearing in mind everything I've told you about this book and how it started and how we've studied Dracula so far, how do you think she ends up getting turned into a vampire? Let's see if chat has any ideas when and where the vampiring happens. Dux, it sounds like you're having a much better day than I am recounting this terrible story. Okay, I'm going to need you to buckle your fuckles, chat, because I'm going to tell you how she ends up getting turned into a vampire. And it's very stupid, and Tired German is correct. It's during the bloodletting part of the play. That's when he turns her, in front of everyone. And it is incredibly stupid, incredibly asinine. She gets a flashback of his entire life, with the fact that he grew up in Greece. Oh, by the way, this book includes a line in it that he knew Jesus and listened to him speak a couple of times and thought it was all right. Just so you know. But she gets to see flashbacks of his entire life and him growing up in Greece, and the picture in the book and the picture that's on screen in the movie when that part of his life is happening is the Colosseum in Rome. And then the book just ends. She's a vampire now, and it ends.
I'm in pain.
You should be. And so, what's the last line of the book?
Why are you attacking me? Why are you attacking
because
me personally?
Neff sent me this book. So clearly, what you need to do is yell at Neff.
I'm going to take my lictor's axe and I'm going to execute some justice. This is what?
Allow me to read to you the last lines of this book. Everything he lived through in 2,000 years, she saw. As she reached present day, she came to with a gasp. Her eyelids fluttered, and she fainted. That's the last of the prose in this book. We then move into the 20 pages of photos, and where are they now? Her dad is still a preacher. He's never heard from her again. The professor who made them all go through this as a play to complete their class retired after teaching 1 million students. He retired to the south of France. The nurse who drew her blood and was helping her while she was sick is still working, making patients smile to this day. One of the other classmates is now a big lawyer in San Diego. She really didn't matter. Another classmate is now an architect. He also doesn't matter. He barely turns up in the book. A third classmate moved to Hollywood and is now a major Hollywood actress. She also did not matter in this book. Another classmate started a band and tours the country with them. He didn't matter in this book. Wayne, the blood bank guy, made enough money in his deal with Aurelius to buy a motorhome, and now he travels across the United States. Melissa, the best friend and the only character who consistently turns up through this story. The only thing we get from Melissa after, all those characters who don't matter, they're lawyers, they're actors, they're musicians. Melissa, all she gets is Melissa is still wondering what happened to Chloe. That's it. The mum is still cooking and misses her daughter every day. We're going to come back to the mum and daughter in a moment because my one genuine complaint is going to be to do with that. The doctor has opened an AIDS clinic with another doctor after treating Chloe. what do we then get for our idiot Chloe and Aurelius? Chloe and Aurelius are now traveling around the world helping people. They are working with notable scientists to find cures for incurable diseases and are doing their best to make sure their gift of immortality doesn't go to waste. They are just two vampires striving to make the world a better place for mortals to live in. And that's it. That's the end.
I am physically in pain. I'm going to abuse alcohol.
Pip is also upset. That's because most of them didn't matter, Night Owl. Melissa was the only one that I sort of really spent any time on because she's the best friend and she does turn up multiple times, but she doesn't add anything that matters. Of interest, the brother, who does turn up in the book multiple times and is important to the story because he overhears the whole Aurelius is a vampire and causes the entire end part of the book to happen. He's not mentioned. We don't know what happened to him. Nobody cares. But for the most part, this book and the movie that it comes from was a really cheap cash-in on the Twilight craze that is just a hallmark of F-rate Italian knockoff cinema. In itself, I didn't mind reading this as much as I've minded reading Hungry Like the Wolf because it's clear nobody cared about this book. This book just exists to exist. And it's like reading a 6-year-old, telling a story at bedtime and then this happened, and then this happened, and you get to a state where you're just like, oh, that's nice. Oh, very good. You're not engaged with it because there's nothing here. This book is only offensive in that somebody bothered to, put it to paper. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. It's not even puddle deep. It's barely, a spit puddle. It's pathetic. So it didn't really bother me that much reading it. I just rolled my eyes and got through it and just laughed at the absurdity that it even existed, especially when we got to the whole, I have AIDS and he will help me. It was funny. But there is one thing in this book that genuinely annoyed me, and it's something that is featured as part of the novel and story that I doubt the filmmaker who originally wrote the screenplay even noticed he was doing, or if he did, that just makes him worse. So we have the couple of scenes where Aurelius goes over for dinner at Chloe's house with her very religious family. The first time he goes over, it didn't really stand out to me much what was happening because it was very background and it didn't matter and it wasn't made to matter, and that made it fine. The first time he goes over for dinner, he sat at the table with the dad and the brother and they're chatting while the mum and Chloe are busy making dinner, and then after dinner's finished, they clear the table and Aurelius leaves. The women clear the table and Aurelius leaves.
Very Italian.
In itself, completely fine. It didn't stand out to me. As you say, very Italian. It did not stand out to me as being anything that was even slightly an issue. It was just, a normal family dinner scene. The second time, however, when they go over for dinner, Chloe is there first and we get to see her with her family before Aurelius arrives, and they're all really worried about her because she's very clearly sick. She's very clearly tired, she doesn't have any energy, and they're very worried about her going to college at the minute because she is clearly so sick and they don't know what's wrong with her. And of course she's downplaying it and saying, it's nothing, I'm just worn out because this is a really busy semester, I'm fine, you don't need to worry about it. And her family's like, no, we can tell there is something that's genuinely wrong. And she's like, I don't want to give up on my studies at the minute. This is important to me. And it's only when, it's sort of, my studies are more important to me than anything else at the minute that they sort of subside and say, okay, fair enough. Look, but please keep an eye on it and keep in contact with us because we're worried about you. But fair enough. But we can tell that there's something that's, legitimately wrong. She is then expected to get up and make dinner with her mother again and do all the cleaning up again while the men go outside to play ball. And at this point, it stood out to me because if you're that worried about how sick she is, why are you making her do the women work around the house? At that point, it was no longer this is just a normal family meal scene. It was oh no, you're writing this because you expect the women to do the kitchen work. And at that point, I got genuinely annoyed because even if you're from a culture where that's the thing and everybody's happy with that and they agree to it, it's not okay when there's someone that you've just professed that you think is incredibly sick and overdoing it. You expect them to go and do their gendered role while you go and play outside. And then I was legitimately upset. But that was the only point because nothing else in the book mattered. So, there you go.
That is true.
That was the last vampire on Earth, who at no point is it brought up that he's the last vampire on Earth or why that should even matter. So, there you go. Yeah, unfortunately, German, I don't read German. I'm so sorry.
I have sent you something to cheer everyone up.
Unless it's a work day, I do the pots, but I don't cook because I can burn water. That's fair enough. And as I say, the idea of, you know, people having certain cultural expectations and gendered roles, etc., in themselves isn't an issue until you get to the point where you're making somebody do it when it doesn't make sense for them to do it, if you care about that person. So I got genuinely annoyed at that point. Right, let me save this Lictor so I can do the thing. This will need to go into here. This will take me a minute. Finished.
That's
Where's
okay.
Shoal?
The last vampire on Earth also took us a little bit.
Yeah.
We can all I can go get myself something very Italian and very alcoholic and wash that from my brain.
Please do. Please do. So once again, chat, Neffy sent me that book. This is entirely Neff's fault. Please direct all of your hate in his direction. Right. Where do I have? I think I put it in here. Like, yes. Let me properties, browse. If I change this over to this, it should just immediately do the correct thing. There we go. There we go. Lictor has now got a hat for his hat. We have a bowler hat on the top hat. Good job, Lictor. You use your time wisely. So that was our somebody sent me another book section. We got through that relatively quickly, and with at least one of my brain cells still intact. Oh dear. Undercover bowler, yes, yes. Very important to have a hat for your hat, otherwise it will feel naked. Night Owl also appreciates the hat. Wonderful. So that was our a terrible book segment. I hope we don't have to have those each week because Jesus Christ. I did say we had a couple of other topics I wanted to broach this week. One of them, I think what we'll do is we'll come back to the other one when we move into character creation because that's where it will fit better. The next thing that I'd like to move on to restore some of our brain cells. I think I'd like to do a little bit more calendar work with you guys today and talk about eons. Can I spare a glance into group chat? I probably can. Give me just a moment. Yes, Mad Ducks is an expert in putting hats on things that already have hats. Do you want me to show this on stream, Ducks? Because I can. I can show chat the shenanigans that you get up to. Okay, let me save it and I'll get this up on screen. Save image. We'll stick it on the desktop so I can find it nice and easy. There we go. OBS. Where is image? There we go. Okay. Browse desktop. Because that's where I hit it. Boop, boop, boop. And then we will need to scale it because holy crap, that's huge. There we go. There we go. Hats on hats with mechs on hats.
Yes. Maddox is the minister of silly hats.
Subject them to what happens when I'm left without adult supervision. Yes, that's very much the case. All right. Before we move over to Aeon Timeline, I'm going to very briefly go and use the restroom and grab myself another
Yes,
drink because my throat is tired after ranting about the terrible thing. So I'm going to leave you with Lictor for just a minute.
Yes, I am currently holding something very not Italian and very alcoholic in order to handle the problems. Also, Owl, yes, it is a salmon-colored bowler hat. You don't see it very well, but the pen is very much indeed a crab. I might be able to. Can I post links into chat? I might be able to post a link to it. Does that work? Can you view that? Is that a thing? The crab is very much on the pin. There you go. Very well. Incredibulation. Well, chat, are we ready and happy to make some book planning? What are we going for first? Are we going straight to character development, or are we going to Aeon Timeline?
Aeon Timeline.
What's first?
Also, I'm back.
Oh, hello, back. Welcome.
There we go. Right. Anka is settled on hip where she should be.
Warranty? I don't get a warranty. Oh, but I stole all these parts.
He's not Warforged, he's Lictor Forged. That's terrifying.
That's terrifying. That
Yeah.
means I forged myself. I am forged by justice.
I can't drink to make the last hour unhappen. I'm so sorry, Night Owl. I don't know why you turn up every week. You know the nonsense that happens over here. This would be the one stream where you could be like, look, I abdicate. I want no part of this. And no one would blame you.
Don't make me laugh while I'm drinking the 45% alcoholic drink.
That sounds like the perfect time to make you laugh.
It always the perfect time to make me laugh until I, inhale it directly into my brain.
All right, let's see if I can make things.
Okay, time to embrace my inner Russian.
Okay. Aeon Timeline, no events yet, correct, because we haven't added any. There we go. This should have changed over, and you guys should be able to see Aeon Timeline. Yes, you can. Excellent. See, some weeks it's almost like I know what I'm doing. Almost.
Yes, almost. This week, well, Neff got in the way.
Yes.
Neff, we blame it on Neff.
It's Neff's fault. He sent it to me. This is all his fault.
Yes, exactly. I love this Switch stuff. Okay.
Alrighty. We did have a oh, that's fair, Jage Cage. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for dropping by. It was lovely to see you. Don't smoke a cigar at the same time. Oh dear. Yeah, no, that sounds like a bad idea, Wolf. Right, last week we did some calendar work on Aeon Timeline because I like spreadsheets and decided you all needed to be subjected to them. And we also figured it would be very helpful to actually have a calendar system that we can all work with. Was there anybody who wasn't here last week who wants to have an understanding of what on earth this program is that I'm using so you know what we're doing, or are we all good? Do I need to go over Aeon Timeline at all? Because I'm very happy to, because it's a cool program and I like it very much. Addressed to Neff, the spanking of your ass will be thorough and merciless. Yes, it will be very, very deserved as well. This is all his fault.
We are in agreement.
I would love it if you all just spammed the shoal crab at him or something and explain nothing. I'm sure he'll figure it out.
I don't care if he figures it out. At this point, I'm beyond caring.
Drink good. Drink very good.
Yes.
Fun side note, we have 4 different courthouses that want small portable screens to put on witness stands. And since we aren't licensed to resell any, I snagged one to try. This works because my laptop screen is small and I'm hard of seeing. It also does not work because it's smaller than my laptop screen and I'm hard of seeing. Wonderful, Mad Ducks. That sounds like an excellent work day. Honestly, a kung fu vampire romance would be at least interesting. Did you know that one of the last Hammer movies that Christopher Lee was due to be part of was... did he actually play the role? I can't remember. But it was Legend of the Seven Vampires, and it was a kung fu vampire movie.
Somebody has to kung fu those vampires.
It was very terrible. It was very, very terrible. I can't remember if Christopher Lee actually played the role in it or not. I've got a feeling he didn't, but it might have been the last one he did. I would have to look into it. Oh no, Mad Doctor's having an idea. Quick, right, we're going to get on with some work. We're going to do some work. Right.
I heard you talking. I want to see that happen.
So...
Get out!
Fang fu.
No.
All right.
No.
All right. Next April, we need to make a Fang fu thing for Shoal. Or something. That does actually sound like it could be really fun for April Fools next year. Where do I need to make a note of that? I'll stick it in current art goals. It's the wrong place for me to put it.
Are we going to make the cult of the vampire squids?
It doesn't have to be a Shoal thing, but it could be a Shoal thing. We'll have to figure it out. Fang Fu project. We'll come up with something.
I'm not nearly drunk enough for this. I'm just not...
Hello,
Okay.
Delusions of Dakar. Yes, this thing is on. Technically, we do Battletech stuff around here, just not on this particular stream. You have found your way to WBPL 76, which is the community Twitch channel for the Black Pants Legion, where we do everything from gaming to writing, mini painting. You'll find a lot of Mech Warrior being played on Sundays. That's a good day to turn up. We also do nonsense wrestling streams on Sunday, so it's a gamut. If you'd like to join our Discord, I can see that Tired German has already pinged it in chat. That will allow you to join the auxiliary, the community-facing Discord for the Black Pants Legion. We have many members in there. Most of them are insane. Please bring your insanity to commune with our insanity, and there's much Battletech in there to be found. On this stream, we're writing our own. Well, I say that considering what we've just witted for the last hour. On this stream, we are supposed to be building our own setting to write a story in with underwater mecha, and we are looking at the calendar at the moment. We've been building for our world, so we do technically do BattleTech videos around here sometimes.
We do, and sometimes we put dapper top hats on Urbies.
Yes.
Just as yes.
And truck nuts on hunchbacks that Mad Docs is mentioning. Yeah, I do in fact sometimes draw BattleTech mechs, and terrible things happen as a result.
Yes, this is what we like to call terrible.
Do you guys need me to put hunch nuts on screen? Do we need hunch nuts right now?
You can put hunch nuts, because if you won't, I'll put whatever's that I did with the Irby and the Jenner.
Hang on, let me browse. I've got to remember where on earth I saved hunch nuts. No, that's my videos folder.
Hopefully in
That
freeze.
won't help.
Otherwise it'll go bad.
It should be in here. Should be in Beeple and related. Where would I have hidden it? No, it won't be in the wrestling folder. It won't be. Is it in here? No.
Yes, so, Delusions, you're doing world building, you say?
Sort of. We pretend. No, it's not.
No.
Where on earth would I have put it? Where did I put it? Why don't you know, Lictor? How dare you?
Why would I know where you put your stuff? Have you checked out Naranka?
There's the pork toaster, but that's not what I'm looking for. There is Griglack and Sons, Barbarians at Law. That's not what I'm looking for.
Well, Griglack and Sons does work.
Griglack
will probably know. Griglack would know where the hunch nuts are.
He would. We might have to. Oh, is it in here? Is it in here?
Told you.
No, there's Hammer Birthday, though, and Griglakfly Real Bird, and Randolph P. Checkers, Old Fashioned, Smooth Sipping, Apple Flavoured Engine Degreaser. But I cannot find Hunch. Where have I hidden Hunch Nuts?
Chat, we need your powers here. We need your ability. We need you to concentrate and find it for us.
I found it!
Cool.
I found it! It was next to the Kerensky fried chicken meme. There it is. Right, now let's turn it on so you guys can see it.
Of course, next to the Kerensky fried chicken.
There we go. Hunch Nuts.
Anatomy of the Hunchback. Drunkenness.
Yep.
Fitzies.
So, for anybody who doesn't know, this image is the reason I'm here. It's the reason why any of you know who I am, because some idiots, including my darling husband Aiden, and our wonderful Mad Ducks, and Halzakar, who else was involved? Cocaine and Rob, Squick, they wanted to do a little promo thing for when Tex released the Hunchback video. And Aiden was like, I know an artist who might be able to do us some image work to go with our little radio drama thing we're making. And that artist was me. I had just started my art course, and Aiden was like, hey, can you draw mechs? And I'm like, I could try. So the very first thing that I was asked to do was to draw a hunchback, and I got partway through. This is the image, and I went completely insane because I was 2 terms into art school, and learning how to draw mechs is in term 7, and yeah, I kind of lost my mind. I'd had a lot of coffee and just decided that we needed to write the anatomy of the hunchback around it, and that's how we ended up with Hunch Nuts, and now we're here.
This is why Lady Red made a wonderful explanation of how to put Hunch Nuts in place.
Yes.
And also, there's the Zot.
Yes,
We are
and the
now
itty
aware
bitty
where
A cups.
Yes, and the Zot. I'm sorry, the Zot has me.
Yes.
It has me. It has me. The fact that there's a Zot under the frustration fists.
And also a pew.
Yes.
A pew on one side and Zot on the other.
Indeed, and also we know where Pain lives.
Yes. Yes.
We have his address.
Yes, this was very important. This is the most important image I would ever draw in my life. And yeah, now we're here. We are
Now
here.
we're here.
Would anybody like to see what
Yeah.
the image turned into? What I was actually drawing this for? That's not just ridiculous nonsense. There was actually a point to this image.
I don't believe you. And yes.
I could play the video. You're right. I could play the video that this was part of if people want to see that, and that will give me a chance to have a little sippy. I think I have the video somewhere. I've just got to remember where I hid it.
Yes, please.
What I will need to do in that case, let me turn Hunch Nuts off for a minute. I will need to add a media source and look for it now. Yeah, there it is. Found it. Yeah, this should just work
Alpha
straight
1-4
away.
here. Everyone check in. Alpha 2-4, all systems go.
This is Alpha 3-4. Everything is in the green.
Alpha 4-4, over at Nav Point Delta. Everything's looking good.
All call signs. Spread out and proceed to Nav Point Beta. Drop zone should have us on the rear flank. Roger 1-4, scanner's hot, swinging wide east.
I'm swinging west lead. Beagle is free.
If you get a ping, verify before engaging so we can focus fire.
Focus fire. With 4 locusts. That's, see if I do the math, 4 times. That's not a lot of fire. I've got I've got a fancy flashlight over here. I don't know what you've got over there, but I guarantee you focus fire is not what's going to happen.
Cut the chatter. Alpha Squad, half throttle. Advance.
Sir, I'm getting something on the probe. Not moving very quickly. Signal is weak. Cross-section is small.
Alpha 3, move to verify. Alpha 2, you're with me.
Roger, lead.
Move into position.
Okay, I should be in visual range in just a moment.
What the hell was that? Alpha 3-4, check in.
Yeah, Alpha 3's gone there. Lead.
What? How?
Yeah, I don't fucking know. It was just one shot.
Alpha 2-4, do you have visual? Negative, I've got nothing. Wait, I've got a ping that...
New target, Hunchback.
Fall back! Fall back now! Sir, I don't see. I said go. Get to the drop zone. Now. Moving. Fuck! The Hunchback!
Oh yeah, it's gonna be crazy.
So yeah, that was what the art was for, and yeah, that's how I'm now here. Fear the hunch, it hungers, it does. It does. And that was one of the first projects I was involved in with Peoples, and it was very, very fun. Incidentally, if you want to do your good deed for the day, chat, that's not, beating Neff over the head with sticks, you should poke Aiden and tell him he needs to get on with the Black Knight thing he's doing. Because Aiden's doing a thing, and the people that were involved with that video were involved with the Black Knight stuff he's supposed to be doing too. So, alright, don't poke him, hit him with bats too. Aiden and Neff deserve hitting with bats. Right, let me go back to OBS and make sure I turn Lictor back on for when he comes back in, and we'll put our background music back on. Okay, yeah, we should be all unmuted. So, anyway, for what we're actually supposed to be doing this week. Last week, we started on our calendar, as I said, and we started putting into place some of the things we'd already decided for how the calendar would work, and just narrowing it down. So we already knew we were going to have 48 hours in a day. We went from our original idea of having a 5-day week to having a 10-day week, where the standard work week on Shoal is 7 days and then a 3-day weekend. We named our days, and we decided we were going to name our days after the pantheon of aspects that are attached to the religious side of things on Shoal that Archon Erica has done a ton of work for. So we ended up with our Ascendant week of Fang Swell, Scale Break, Song Surge, Shape Stream, and Glowcrest, and then our Descendant half of the week with Seamoth Dive, Tidefall, Deep Depth Sink, Cold Drift, and Mesh Shoal. So that was what we decided on for that. We also had a look at our months, which we decided we would only have 5 months made up of 5 weeks each, because 5 is just a very consistent number with how we set up the solar system for Shoal, for the Mern system that Shoal is in. So there's no good reason why the people wouldn't lean into that, because they'd figure that out just the same way that we decided that's how it would be. So we've got 5 months, Mernal, Ubanal, Tumal, Uranal, Oranal, and Luastral, or what we decided for that. So these, we haven't put the abbreviations in. I should probably do that. So that will be that, that will be that. No. I wanted you to go over here. There we go. And then Lua. There we go. And then the next part that we're supposed to establish is our errors. And we weren't ready to do that. We said that we would look at that this week, so that's where we're supposed to be picking up. And the reason why we want to get this set in stone is it will allow us to have a calendar that we can use with all of the novels that go on to be written in this series. Because we can plug stuff directly into Aeon Timeline of, hey, this event happens on these dates and it's recurring. So if we decide that we want to have an asteroid shower that happens very regularly, we can set that and make a note of it. If we want to have a comet that passes by particularly regularly, we can have that happen. If there are particular celebrations on the planet that are universally observed, We can put that on and have that just add itself onto the timeline the whole way along. But we need to kind of know when the current era of this is the unified timeline we are all working with, so that we all know what is happening, that the modern day effectively, or when recorded history started from, in a way that makes sense to us. And we can also set our leap years properly. As to whether we want an offset or not. We do know that we have leap years. We know that on a leap year, the extra day that gets added into one of the months is named for the one aspect who isn't already represented in the weekday names. It's click day, effectively. And we can decide whether we offset by one or whatever when we get to that. So that's where we're at the moment. Let's see what chat has to say. Mad Ducks has to scoot. Well, I hope things go well, Mad Ducks. Clantech Black Knight is terrifying. Yep. All right. I didn't see the world's hugest amount of notes in the auxiliary channel on error thoughts. There were a couple, but I am very happy for you guys to throw at me how you want to break up our errors and how we really want to sort of define where our recorded history starts and where we're going with that. We know that... Oh, Tired German's got some ideas. Can we have it like isolation, toleration, forging, and finally cohabitation? Those will certainly be very large timeline points. Isolation being what we call the eras when the different species were first evolving sapience and didn't know about each other yet. Yeah, I wish Eric was here as well. He's very helpful on this sort of thing. But I do like where Tired German is coming from. The idea of, you know, there being the isolation periods, and then maybe our dates of recorded history, you know, the sort of consistent timeline that we're now working with started in the toleration era, which will be where everybody knew everybody else existed. And although they won't have established on the date that we say that is the universal calendar that's now used on the planet, using the Temps corals to go back and fill things in the same way that we use archaeology, etc. in the real world, is that will be the point where they consider perhaps year zero is where the different species became aware of each other. We could go that route. And then, of course, smaller errors that won't necessarily be calendar errors, but will be anthropological errors. Is, you know, the forging error will be a very important one. Although we could decide that Shoal wants to track its history slightly differently, and they could have, you know, the sort of pre-sapience era, the then finding each other era, and then once they invented the Titan paragons and brought the first Titan to life with its own personality, perhaps that is considered by them the start of a new era. In terms of timekeeping. Bearing in mind all of this is timekeeping. Cultural errors of significance in the same way that we have like the Victorian era, the industrial era, etc., etc. We can have all of those, but those won't affect how the calendar is numbered. What we're looking for right now is only those errors that affect how the calendar is numbered. And keeping 2 is the easiest way of doing things. So the founding of the first proper libraries is going to be a very important cultural era, and I think the establishment of them will have allowed for the universal time system to come into place. But just like once we discovered that, you know, if you do archaeology correctly and things like carbon dating allows us to fill in the historical record, and it was very important for us to discover that ability, the fact that we discovered that we could go back in time and understand, you know, by looking at the record, didn't affect how we numbered the record, just that we could now fill in those gaps from the before time.
I see. Okay, I think that there's one singular point that is evolutionarily impossible to ignore in that fact, and that's when the first
harmonious choral with an age
Mm-hmm.
came to be. Before that, the moon was silent. It was a dead moon psionically. And then psionics happened. The song began. The first, I would call it even the first note, not the first harmony. The first note in silence is the moment where it all began in terms of show.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, there may have been biological constructs on the planet, on the moon, but on the moon of Shoal. But then came the first note, and then things began to get complicated.
Okay. Would the Shoaley decide that, therefore, before the first note is our negative years, effectively, our BC?
I think that there might be many. There may have been many ages before the first year of writing. I think Moncho would say the first time that the various species learned to communicate with each other when the first harmony.
There's a really good idea going on in chat. Polychromatic Goth Drop said the founding of the first proper libraries, which I started wittering about. And then Ed has said, in timekeeping errors, any choral from before the library is BL for Shoaley, so before records, effectively, before librarium, and then all timekeeping since the libraries. So is the establishing of the libraries going to be our year zero?
I think that the time, before library and post library, BL and PL, making ourselves a little BPL acronym here. Sounds good.
Okay, how are we going to make that work? Before library
and post library.
Post library. Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, okay. That works, and it's thematic for our nonsense. All right, so BL, before libraris.
Right. Okay, we now have problems. Hello, Corbin.
Yeah, we're just going to leave the offset at 1. That's fine. And then we are going to have libraris, which will be PL. And the duration is infinite. Okay. Right, customize leap years. Yep, we've done that. Yep, that's fine. We're just going to leave that exactly as it is. That's fine. Okay. So, what we will probably need to do is establish when the current day is. And I can't remember where we get to set that. There is a place that lets us do it. So, we're going to find it. Text entry, automatic calculations, adjustment limits. Alright, let's take a look and see what we can find. There is something somewhere that lets us set when the current day starts. Modern day. Where is the present? Though we don't necessarily have to worry too much about that, because once we start writing our book and it actually starts putting events into the timeline, it'll be like, oh, okay, that's present day. So we might not need to worry about that too much.
Now, there might be a different calendar or even local calendars that help local cultures deal with their particularities, because they have different lifespans and different species-based cycles.
Local calendars and ways of following things, absolutely fine with that existing. for what we're trying to do for our universal project, that we need a universal timeline, and this would be, the sort of the one that all of the trade, etc., adheres to, and for our own sanity, so we can keep track of things. We can only have the one.
Yep. Yep. No, argument here.
All right. So what this is currently making me think about is, if for Shoal they decided that their year 0 was when they first started establishing the Temps library systems, everything else that they find that's not part of those library systems, etc., is considered before Libraris. For them, that means that their universal modern calendar would have started a lot later than the human one did, because what we consider to be year 0 is much further back technologically and understandably than when we actually started putting these things into place. So I'm thinking that for Earth, and if Ed's here, he can tell me what year Earth currently thinks it is. I know Earth is somewhere in the sort of near distant future to where we're at now. For Shoaley, I feel like their numbering system would be, somewhere behind that. So, for us it being 2025 right now, for the Shoaley, they might be considering it, I don't know, like 1025. Because their year 0 started a lot later than our year 0 did. Does that make sense? Am I making sense in what I'm trying to say?
Their year 0 is comparable to when we started having what is essentially
Hang on, I might be wrong. I need to check one thing, because when did... Yes, tell me about this. When was it established? Okay, stop telling me about it. Tell me dates. Okay, yeah. So it suddenly occurred to me that I'm being really dumb. The library system getting started is for Shoal is going to be the equivalent of the Great Library of Alexandria. That happened BC in our time limit. So we don't have that constraint. Yeah. We don't have that problem.
I would postulate that technologically, the ability to communicate across multiple cities and multiple nations over distances in Shoal means that their social evolution is compressed compared to us humans.
Yes.
Because distances and language are less of a problem. So social advances can happen faster than what has happened on Earth, where distance and communication had to wait for more advanced technology to bridge the time and the information gap.
So what do we want to consider present day for Shoal? What year is Shoal in? Is it in the 2020s? Is it in the 3040s? We can basically choose anything we like because we have the ability to justify it in any direction.
I think that somewhere in the 700s, they had a few hundred years, a few life cycles of the meaningfully long-lived creatures, at least. It's like, no one alive today, bar perhaps that one ceratinoid that survived somehow, has been there for the entire thing, and maybe a Leviathan or two, but essentially there are people today that remember a time when half of what's going on wasn't even a thing.
Mm-hmm.
The abyss of history is funny enough more shallow.
You know what we should do for modern day in Shoal for our first book? What was the date that the Legion started? What year was that?
Oh wow.
Let's link it back to things. Let's have a little tongue-in-cheek link to things.
Okay, I don't even know whom to ask. We'll ask Diggs.
Diggs or Tex, and I think we make the decision that that's our starting day
date.
for our first story.
Yeah.
I have reason to message Tex in the next 20 to 48 hours. I will attach that as a question at the same time, and that will set what our year is. For now, I'm just going to set it to... In fact, I can just put it up here. I'm just going to set it to 2003 for right now, and then I will adjust that. There we go. Boom. Okay. Boom! Alright, we've got that set. So, let me make a note over here. Current day is... start of Legion. There we go. We will get that done. Alright, I think that's all the calendar work we desperately needed to get finished in terms of looking at Aeon. I would like us to talk about some errors, but I think we need to make a note of what those errors are on Scrivener rather than looking at Aeon Timeline, and then they'll get plugged into Aeon Timeline off stream. So, let me go to OBS. I'm going to turn off... when I find where I've hidden it, Aeon Timeline. That brings us back to Shoal, our main document. All right, I'm going to need to use the restroom again very briefly. I will be right back, and then we can start figuring out what cultural errors and the like Shoal recognizes. We've already got some technological ones written out, but we will sort that out. I'll be right back.
Yes. Alrighty. No problem. We're back on shows. I have two hats. Why do I have two hats again? Alright, confuse the AI. Titans are indeed an error marker, yes. The rise of the Titans, the awakening is an error marker, and possibly the next error marker would be the Forge War. Forge War set.
Alrighty, I am back.
Hello.
Hello.
Well, Ed already pointed out, and I agree, that the Titans are indeed...
Yes, that's going to be like the current big era that we're in. Alright, so, culturally recognized errors. The Titan era, birth of the first Titan Paragon, current era. Alright, let me bring up where the map is, the information we have on our technological errors, because that might help us. Right, let me come and see what chat has to say. What day did I join up? I don't even remember. Getting into the Legion for me was a complete... I could look it up. I do know where I'd have to go to look it up. But it was a complete blur because everything happened in quite quick succession after I drew Hunch Nuts. But it was the wonderful Commissar Jake who did my entrance interview. So if I go back to my chat with him, I can figure out what day that was. But I slid in on a Monday morning when nobody was paying attention, so I didn't get meme cannoned too badly either.
Yeah, nobody said new fuck to Lady Red.
I mean, the first thing I did was announce myself as new fuck, dumb fuck, so...
Yeah, but, you know, it's not the same.
First Contact is likely... I think First Contact's going to be part of the Titan era. It's going to be a very important date, But I don't think First Contact will define the era because the Titans are going to be such a core part of that. I think it will just fall into the Titan era. But it's certainly a very important part of that. So an important sub First Contact.
First Contact,
sub, Sub date. There we go.
Yep.
All right, let's see. I'm sure some other stuff got mentioned in chat. In fact, I know there was because I was looking at it and it was very, very helpful. There were some really good ideas in here. So let's scroll back.
How dare we?
Okay, so the very earliest era that's sort of like almost mythological is going to be the silent era, which is before the first note of the song.
Could be just the dead era or the buried. I mean, it doesn't have to be silent in so much as it's literally dead. It's inert.
Okay. Let's see, what else was... Okay, I think we can also add in as an era the era of first harmony, which will be the era of first contact between sapient species.
Mm-hmm. That was before there were big enough coalitions and enough technology to wage war.
Yeah, this was when
sapience
scale. was first a thing for multiple species and they first ran into each other. So before that, there would have been for each species an era of first chord, development of sapience.
Mm-hmm.
First harmony was the first contact. Of course, we had the Forge era, which is the hallmark of which is going to be industrialization. I know I spelled that wrong. I'll come back to it in a minute. Industrialization leading into the Forge Wars. Ends with start of the Titan era. With the Forge Wars, of course, we'll cover the end of the Forge era and the start of the Titan era until the peace was established. So we know we have that. Let's see, what else? The founding of the first proper libraries is sort of going to be where we've decided our year 0 is, so that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think that takes most of the notes that I've seen in chat into account.
Okay, I think that the foundation, the Temps Foundation, the first libraries, is incidental to the recognition that Temps coral can only be cultivated in very rare locations, as in it's a resource that you have to deal with and not something you can just cultivate ad infinitum, if you get what I mean.
Yep.
It's like it's a monumental moment when everybody are just saying, okay, we've decided Temps coral is one of the most important things to everyone, and we're all putting it down in writing or in Temps that no one's going to hurt these very precious, very unique places where it grows.
Yeah. Alright, let's take a look. Is there anything we need to pull out of the technology section? Coral integration error. So, foundation slash coral integration error. And then the discovery, development of, and librarification of Temps coral will be a sub error within that towards the end.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
The era of proliferation. We are not at all influenced by other medias that we consume. The choral accords. I like it. I like it, Guthrop. This is very good. The choral accords.
Okay. Okay, I think that gives us some of our major errors to be thinking about. I don't think we need to go into too much further detail than that.
That's
We can always add more
that's
later if it becomes necessary, but I think that allows us to... Yeah. Yeah, and the Titan era is our modern era. Okay, cool. That all works. That is a lot of important calendar work that we've refined down.
Yep. Now have the backbone of society.
Yes, yes, and I get to start plugging. I'm really looking forward to having all of my art commissions for the year off the boards and really spending this winter knuckling into making Shoal into a really presentable series of documents and files for people to chew on and make things with. I love winter writing months when it gets, especially now that we're back home, up on the west coast. It gets miserable in winter and I love it. It'll snow, it'll rain, it'll be misty and foggy, it'll look like Silent Hill outside, and I'll have the gas fire on, and I'll have hot chocolate, and it'll be quiet, and there won't be anybody up here on the tennis courts. Not that I dislike it, I love having the tennis court next door, because in the summer, hearing people just outside enjoying themselves is really pleasant. But in the winter, it's then that juxtaposition of it being very quiet and calm and nobody's around, and it's so conducive to writing. And I will just lose myself for hours and hours and hours buried in Shoal, making it more presentable for everybody. And I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really, really looking forward to it.
I really couldn't tell. I wouldn't have noticed.
I know, I get excited about such stupid things.
I am so happy for you. I find it amazing. I am very much looking for it.
It gets so cozy. Yes, and I will have the large Mothman plushie to freak out the neighbour kids and to cuddle with and lean on in front of the fire and do some writing. When Mo came to visit, he brought us an enormous Mothman plushie. It's huge.
Comma terrifying.
It's very, very adorable. It's got huge, big anime eyes.
Uh-huh.
I know this is probably not helping.
No, it doesn't. But it is probably what makes it so wonderful. So good on you.
Right, we've done some important thinking work. Now we get to go back to doing fun things like characters. So let me bring this up.
How dare.
And
Fine. We dare.
All right, where'd I hide it? Where's the character I need?
I don't know. Which one are we going for?
The one that we'd started working on last time, and I don't know where I've hidden them. I know what I did with them. I know what I did.
So human.
I was being clever. Okay, there we go. So on the right hand side, we have our just random character we started putting together when I was talking about how to do character creation. On the left, we have John Human, who we haven't given a name to yet, who was an actual character in our intended story that we started working on last week. So we are going to do some more with him and possibly move on to a second character this week, which would be really, really nice. But I did say that there was something I wanted to talk about rather briefly before we moved on. Aiden got me a new pirate ship. And so the Mothman was a thank you in a weird way. Yes. We had some fun while Mo was visiting. It was probably the most chaotic visit I've ever had done with any of my dear friends, because our furniture hadn't arrived yet, and then it did arrive, and we had a time. But it was a very enjoyable time, and I hope Mo will come back this way one day, because that would be lovely. Right,
Please
so...
come back. Drones need you. They look up to you.
So we did have a bit of sad news yesterday that I want to bring up just very briefly, and I don't expect anyone to do anything about it, but unfortunately my brother-in-law passed away yesterday morning. He was a wonderful man, and he passed away relatively young through no fault of his own, and the world is a sadder place for the fact that he's now watching us from whatever comes after, and not able to be here with us. So I was wondering if one of the things we could perhaps do is maybe name John Human after said brother-in-law. I do already have his family immortalized in print in my own personal setting, but I would like, if possible, to maybe name John Human to Jake Human, and we can decide on his surname and make him a Jacob, if that is okay with chat, because that would certainly help with the grieving process, as we lost him relatively quickly and unexpectedly, and it's been a week. It's been a week. We're okay with naming him Jake. We're fine with that. Do it. Hello, TK. Welcome in. You've joined at the sad point of the stream, but we won't be here for long, because we do like to try to turn our sadness into positivity and see what we can do with it.
Yes.
Okay.
So I think chat is unanimously...
Jake Kamehameha. I don't think so, no.
Why? He's the king of the Super Sea Turtle Blast Wave.
What am I
Come
doing?
on.
Why can't I spell? Okay, we will need a surname for our human that's not King Kamehameha.
Okay. Jake Corndog.
No!
Wait, no. They don't know what corndog is. They don't
It
have
is a Hawaiian name,
corn
Ed.
dogs.
You're right. You are right. And we did say he's of Polynesian descent, so we could go with that, but it's going to immediately... Yeah, no, let's not go with Lonely One. Let's go with something, considering that we are tying this to a dearly departed. And we also don't want, when our audience picks up the book, to instantly go, oh, DBZ, which unfortunately is what people will do.
That is true. Now I have to put my serious hat on.
We don't have to decide right now this second. We can think about it as we continue detailing him, but he is going to need a
That's a Samoan.
All right. So things we decide. Go on.
Is there a specific meaning of a name you'd think would be fun?
Nothing specifically. Just, something with a positive connotation to it, if it's going to be a name with a meaning.
Okay. I just like a cow, AKAU, which means right in Hawaiian.
Okay. As in WRITE?
No.
As in
what?
I... No. Which form of right? As right as in writing? Right as in correct?
Correct.
Okay.
As in the correct direction.
Okay.
Kind of in navigation. It is north and it is right as in correct.
Oh,
Which
wonderful
is
delusions of Dakar. We look forward to seeing you and having your craziness interface with our own. I'm very glad you dropped by today. Thank you. All right, let me take a quick look over in the Orcs channel. For anybody here who isn't aware, inside the auxiliary, we do have a Shoal channel, a dedicated Shoal channel in the creative writing section for everything to do with this stream and our ridiculous setting.
That is true. That is all
Ah,
true.
Ed has dropped an entire list of Polynesian last names we can look through.
Oh dear. Ed, where are you? Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah. Okay, well,
Oh,
let
yeah.
me
Okay.
drop
Let-
this
let-
list into chat so that you guys can cook on, click on it and cook on it. Have a look at that, see which ones you guys like, and once we get to the end of our character, we can come back to the top, and we will decide on the surname then. Though a cow is a good option. That will definitely be one on the list. So
Okay.
that'll give people a chance to have a look at it while we go over the rest of our characters. So things we decided last week. We know that Jacob is going to be a protagonist in our story, the unwitting inciting actor for the bad thing TM. We decided that he is a mid to late 30s male human. He has finished college and got his master's degree. He's got a pretty fit physique to endure the rigors of space travel and operating on Shoal. We decided that he's of Polynesian descent with dark brown hair, dark, rich chocolate skin, and a mix of maritime-like / shark bite / neon tattoos and some minor work scars. We know that he is psionically touched, though it's very weak by Shoal standards, but it's notable by human standards. His master's degree is in marine biology, and he's interested in marine xenobiology. We decided that he did his master's thesis on coral reefs and marine biodiversity, and that he was then snapped up for a duty station on Shoal. Initially, we were talking about him being part of the Navy and/or Coast Guard and/or Space Force as part of that, but then Ed brought up all of the stuff to do with how humanity interacts with Shoal, and that he would more likely be part of the Foresters group that the Mern Oversight Council allows onto Shoal for a minimum 10-year sort of exchange thing, but it's likely going to be longer than that long term. What else did we decide? We decided that his scent is sage, which comes from candles that he likes that remind him of a relationship that he once had that is now over. Slightly musted paper. He also smells of sea spray deodorant to help cover up the smell of sweat, because of course he has to do most of his stuff on Shoal in pressure suits, and that's a time. And he also smells of cardamom coffee because he likes his coffee. His psionic resonance is a quiet tone in the psionic sense, but he has a major chord that resonates with curiosity, adventure, and inquiry, and a descending minor in calm, precise staccato. The last thing we ended on last week was we went and did his Myers-Briggs test, and he came out as an INFJ-A, which is a combination of idealism and insight. He experiences complex emotions, vivid imagination, and has a deep well of curiosity. He has an unwavering commitment to his principles and an intense desire to make a positive impact on the world. He naturally understands the motivations of others and finds that to be both a gift and a challenge. He's often torn between desire to help and a need for privacy and solitude. He has perfectionist tendencies that make him want to improve constantly in his field of expertise, and finds that his pursuit of growth can be both exhilarating and exhausting. He has a knack for seeing potential and possibilities where others might not, but he can struggle to bring ideas into reality due to self-doubt or fear of criticism, especially on a strange alien world. He has an intuitive understanding of complex systems, and sapient nature allows him to devise innovative solutions to challenging problems. However, he's sensitive to criticism and has a tendency to internalize concerns, and that can stymie expressing his ideas. He's learning to balance his idealism with practicality and self-confidence, and that will be a key part of the personal journey he'll take through the course of the story. So, we made a scientist. We made a somewhat jovial scientist.
With good ideas.
Yes. Yeah. So the next thing that we'll need to decide is, what is his posture like? So we're looking here for his sort of body language, and though that nice shorthand that you can bring into narrative of the way that somebody stands or moves or does things helps to key you into their personality. So I don't think he's going to be a fidgeter, but I also don't think he's going to be the kind of person to be very grandiose and take up a lot of space. I feel like his posture is going to be sort of somewhat neat and tidy and attentive. He maybe leans forward slightly. I feel like he's the kind of person that will steeple his fingers not out of scheming but out of curiosity.
Yes. Absolutely. No questions.
Okay.
No.
He has
The fact my biology family again shows leans a bit forward, steeples his head every once in a while, and has a very, very still body language, used to work in small spaces and not to break anything. Imagine you have a large library, a large laboratory where everything is made out of glass, and you're on a spaceship, so the space is at a premium. Being very, very secure and economical in your movements is very important. And I think he has that practiced. I am, no matter how small or big I am, I'm always too big for my environment.
Yeah.
I know how to stand very still and move only when I need to. It's not a coiled snake insofar it is a relaxed plant, I guess.
Yeah, he's very aware of the space around him.
Yeah, very much so.
Conscientious.
Yes, that's a word.
There we go. And that will lend really well to him adapting to using pressure shoots as well. Is how much space is my suit taking up? Yeah, that will be good for him. All right.
Yes.
The next thing that we need to decide on is some distinctive skills and abilities. So we know that he is psionically active. Unusual for a human, but it's incredibly underwhelming by Sholey standards, and something he is struggling to master in a meaningful way. So we know he has that.
He has the superpower. He has a superpower. Common sense.
Okay, first of all, I'm going to put in analyst. He is a scholar and scientist by trade. He is excellent at noticing small details in complex environments and extrapolating information from known facts. Common sense. He is a very sensible chap by necessity and inherent design, and applies common sense to most challenges. Alright, what other skills do we think he has that might be useful? And we can put in even things that are interesting social traits can go in here, like, does he play an instrument? Is there an instrument he's particularly good at? Can he recite Shakespeare? Anything that you guys think makes him interesting?
Likes to hum Gilbert and Sullivan. He is the very model of a A force scientist.
Gentleman, musical affinity. He
A very alert
enjoys
albatross.
humming classical music from Earth, specifically Gilbert and Sullivan. Oh no, you've turned
not.
into a robot again, Lictor.
Very good. Clearly, I'm trying to put on my human skin. Ergo, I'm more robot than usual.
He should be bad at something musically but still enjoys it. Okay, so shall we say he enjoys humming the songs? He also enjoys singing them, but he's just a terrible singer. He will also sing these songs when he thinks he's alone or he's drunk, but he is a terrible singer.
Oh, yes. Supremely terrible. Maximally stupid. Maximally off key. I think this is part of it. I think Sholes find his singing endearing despite it being terrible.
Yeah, because it being a verbal sound is in itself unique to the Shoaley.
Yep. I think this is kind of one of the points but why are you singing with your flappy mouth? But why? Oh my god, learning to sing in the Shoaley manner, that would be a headache. That would be such a headache for this guy.
Yeah. All right, now we get to decide things like what is his greatest fear? What is our dude scared of?
Drowning.
I don't think that can be his greatest fear, because otherwise, why the hell is he on Shoal?
Trying to get over it.
Iden says spiders, women, spider women.
I mean, I understand. I understand where you're coming from, but also no, because cephalids.
Yeah. Let's see, what would it be good for him to?
No.
I think for him, his greatest fear, considering what his interests have been through life, where it's brought him to, what he's doing, and what his goals are, I think for him, one of his greatest fear would be causing a major issue on Shoal, something that could, affect its biology, and that could also, potentially sever the tie between Shoal. He'd be very aware of his social setting. He wouldn't want to introduce some kind of pathogen that could kill a coral reef or something like that. And he also wouldn't want to commit the kind of social faux pas or and again, introducing a pathogen that kills things that makes the Shoaly go, no more humans, get off our planet.
I think that his greatest fear is to cause his greatest fear comes in two layers. Layer one, he is afraid of not being able to interface with a Temp's call, which is what he is building up to. Okay, this is the surface level. On the deeper level, he is afraid that Shoal will suffer the same deprivations of Earth, and that would cause the death of Shoal.
Okay.
So the first layer is that he won't be able to understand Shoal, and through that he is afraid that he won't be able to help prevent what is I will imagine a fairly common fear among the Forsters, that humans will somehow treat Shoal the same way they treated Earth, and, well, mass extinction on Shoal will be, to him at least, a tragedy of by Tribbles?
Right, let's take a look.
What's Tribbles?
So Tribbles are from the original series of Star Trek. They are very cute little fluff balls that multiply enormously, and Klingons aren't keen on them.
Okay, so they're like germs?
Kind of, yes. They're like big fluffy germs. They're kind of terrible. There's a whole episode where like, oh, look at this cute thing, and then they overrun the ship, and it's a big ordeal.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, Ed is saying the Foresters are all about preventing humans from harming Shoal as they did Earth. Yeah, I think though for our dude who's down here and has been granted the ability to have this interaction with the Shoalies, I think he would be very afraid of ruining that opportunity, of accidentally doing something. You know, for all the Foresters will have put into place as much as can possibly be done to make sure he is a good fit, his personal fear is going to be that somehow he still fucks it up.
Yep. Exactly. Maximally afraid.
Yeah. So we've got that written down, is that he's afraid, and yeah, having his personal fear of, you know, one day he hopes to be good enough to interface with a probably isolated Temps coral, but that he won't be able to, or that he causes some issues, and yeah, I think that makes a very good a good driving sort of concern that he has, and that will play into his role in the story. All right, what is his misbelief about the world? And I'm going to scroll down so we can see some of what we did on our other character here. Misbelief is a very important part of character development. It's the way that we perceive the world based on our own experiences and flaws that makes us think things work in a certain way when they don't. And overcoming those misbeliefs is, you know, how we mature as people. And your misbelief about the world can go in two different ways. I mean, it's very easy for children, for example, to see the world as a very light and airy and wonderful place, especially as adults will often keep the nastier sides of the difficulties of living from children until they're, you know, mature enough to understand them. So a misbelief about the world can be that, you know, everything's great and fine and nothing bad can ever happen. And then as you get older, you realise that no, life isn't fair, bad things happen to good people, etc., etc. And you have to learn to deal with that. Things that happen to you can generate misbeliefs that are often in the more negative sense. For our Cephalonid librarian character we made, is because of her background and her fears, her misbelief about the world is that all that matters is your accomplishments, and if you don't have the same level of accomplishments as other people, you are somehow lesser to them. You need to prove yourself to have meaning in the world, which of course isn't true. Life is about more than just your accomplishments, etc., etc. So our John Human, and when we're saying the world here, I mean, it should really be, for sure, it should be misconception about the universe, because we're not talking about, you know, one specific planet here.
And I mean, if Chet has any good idea, but I do have something that comes to mind very easily.
Chat hasn't posted any ideas as yet, so would you like to expound on yours while Chat has a think and lets me know any thoughts they have on what his misbelief about the world should be?
Jake's first German, everything that he is involved is his responsibility, and what it clearly isn't. Mm-hmm. That is excellent. My idea, if you can call it that, is he has rose-tinted eyes about the Shoalies.
Yeah?
The Shoalies are not human, but they are not inherently better than humans in a moral or into... I mean, he is slightly rose-tinted about them, in my humble opinion, and he needs to understand that Shoalies are people just like everyone, and there's good Shoalies and bad Shoalies, and they're people. They're a people, and they're complicated. You can't lump them into the rose-tinted, oh, they're Shoalies, they all communicate honestly and psionically, and they don't have many of the problems that we humans, maybe a little bit of projection here, John Human, had suffered. through my lifetime, they don't have to go through this, and thus they are a better society, even if they're not a better human. Again, this is yeah, I mean, Ed, I agree with you, Ed. I'm not trying to make an apex. I'm trying to mold him into something that will work in our story and the way we will tell the story, and having this deference to how Sholey think will be part of the problem, because at some point someone told him that when the quiet hits, it's bad, so you have to go against it, and then he activates the MacGuffin.
Yeah.
Because Sholey told him that, and he overrides his own common sense and says, they told me, so they know better. Sort of a idea. Again, it's trying to avoid. Yes, you're writing it correctly. I'm just trying to avoid the entire superiority complex, because it cuts both ways. You get what I'm saying. Oh, thank you, Ed. That's my AI training. Oh, this is wonderful. Very good, Red. Very good.
Okay, let's see what else chat was saying. I think I'm trying to write down what you meant in words that make sense to me.
That is excellent. This is better than what I said. This is better. This is good. This is better than good. It's red. Yeah, I mean, Ed, it's kind of like he's the Magi guy in the Mummy story. He's the I don't know why I'm here, but I'm but I can help because I know shit.
Okay, so his misbelief about the world is that the Sholey are somehow superior to humans because they have these abilities that humans don't have. They resolved their World War issue in a way that was, compared to how some of human history has gone, seems very altruistic and noble to him, and of course doesn't take into account the fact that Sholey are just people too, and just as capable as fucking up. And because of his fear about the world, he also thinks that everything that he does and every situation he's involved in is his responsibility, because whatever happens is going to reflect on how all Sholey will think of all humans forevermore.
Yes, and it's my fault if it doesn't go perfect.
Yes, Mo's used a good word here. He puts the Sholey on something of a pedestal. For all he treats them as a real person, as real individual other people, he can't help but think that they're somehow, in some degree, better than him.
Yep, and he doesn't know that the Sholey had Zork helping them to develop the war crimes.
Yes.
He doesn't know about that yet. Because when he'll hear about some of these activities, I mean, I can hear already in my head the old crusty crustacean ceratinoid looking at him and look, kid, I know you like everything about it here, but you listen here. We've done some rough shit. And it's not until you've seen a cave full of corpses smothered in artificial silence that you know what the horror of war underwater is. It's like you don't understand.
And I don't want to get grisly with my descriptions of how a grizzled old veteran can go and absolutely horrify the brain of a young greenhorn.
Okay, so I've moved on to, what happened in the character's past to make them believe this lie about the world. I think for him, the fact that he was already somewhat awed with the fact that these guys have a sense we don't, has been more deeply ingrained in him by going through the screening process to be allowed to go to Shoal, which, won't have been the direct intent of anybody, but I think going through that process will have deepened that feeling inside him without intending to. And I think we also need to have him have some event in his past where something that he was part of failed, and he was blamed for it, rightly or wrongly, and that's why he now feels that everything is his responsibility. If he's involved in something, he has to have responsibility for it, because if it goes wrong, he doesn't want to get blamed for it, basically. Perhaps it was some important part of his master's degree, some important project he was on.
I mean, it's the very simplest thing. He was so busy with working on the research that he didn't apply for the correct grants to get his library going. Laboratory, I'm sorry, English. The laboratory going, and he essentially failed his group. He was supposed to be that bright young man that supposed to be presenting and selling the idea that yes, our lab will get us what we want. We need to do it just right. Blah 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 blah. And then he didn't do all the files, didn't do all the work. And now he was saddled with the fact that not only him, but his entire team had their project scrapped, essentially. And he got recruited to the Foresters after that, as he was trying to find his way forward, and no one would take him. Because who would take the guy who missed on a relatively lucrative contract for a private laboratory? They were working on something to improve Earth, and he failed flat out because he lacked the skills or impetus or something, but it didn't work. I mean, imagine you have to go to investors and you want that $70 billion.
Yeah. His focus on research meant grants and permissions were overlooked, and he and his colleagues lost out on a lucrative post-graduation opportunity. This caused the group to disband to myriad other projects, leading Jake to the Foresters.
To poach.
He feels like if he doesn't have his thumb on the pulse of every part of a project, it will fail in some critical aspect he hasn't thought of, and that terrifies him. Okay, let's see what chat is saying.
Yeah, Ed has a wonderful idea that he could also, the failure to land that contract may have got the other guys who got the contract blundered it, and now there's a restoration project that has gotten wrong.
I'd
now
like that. Yeah, the idea of a reef having suffered a biological death
Collapse.
event, a biological collapse, that he didn't specifically cause himself, but through his issues elsewhere meant that he wasn't in a position to prevent that. Because it's the what could have been. And I think that suits him better than having caused it himself. He feels responsible for that death event, even though he didn't cause it. He suffers from the quantum butterfly effect.
Yep.
The people who did pick up that group contract went on to cause a biodiversity collapse on a reef, and despite not being personally involved in that event, Jake feels responsible for it nonetheless, because if he hadn't messed up and his team had the project, it might not have happened. He suffers terribly from the quantum butterfly effect.
That is, I wish to point at our characters by now, that this character, who's yet to have been named, has more depth than the entire book that Neff has given you.
Yes. Yes, and that's because we're actually putting this effort in now, whereas the guy who wrote that book put in no effort at any point ever.
And this gentleman is the noise of Red's blood pressure rising.
Yes. Yeah, that screeching you can hear.
Yes.
All right. What do they most often criticize others for? Quite often when we criticize people, it's based on our own life experience. So perhaps he criticizes others for, not being aware of the entirety of a project. Not being involved enough.
But I think that his most basic criticism is not rising up to the occasion. It's like, I don't expect you to do much, but if I gave you a responsibility and you shirk it in any way, whew, the heavens will fall on you. Like, I failed once, and I'm not willing to see that in anyone ever again.
He is therefore critical of people who do not fully apply themselves to tasks they have taken on, or who do not take an interest in whatever work they are contracted for. He messed up once and still feels guilty for it. Damned if he'll see others make that same mistake. Okay. There would likely be a professor / mentor figure that recognises what happened to Jake, who recognised his potential and recruited him. Yeah, getting some kind of sort of note to say, hey, this kid has potential. He'd probably work really well with you guys. That makes sense. All right. How does our character respond to emotional pain?
Cat, I summon your power. Friendship is magic, and magic is heresy.
He works harder. Yeah, I think he would be a workaholic. I think he'd like to distract himself. So responds to emotional pain. Distracts himself with work and productive activity. Productive in inverted commas because it's displacement.
Yes, it's what? I'm doing productive stuff instead of going through my internal.
Is prone to overcompensating for whatever, and I'm going to put in inverted brackets again, mistake he made to try and make things right and resolve, in inverted commas, resolve the issue. He treats emotional pain as a state to be worked through and fixed and struggles when fixed isn't an option. So I think this might colour some of his personal relationships that he's had, you know, when sometimes people just fall out of love. Sometimes things happen. Sometimes we upset somebody unintentionally in a way that you cannot apologise for, that you cannot fix, and all you can do is let it go. I think he struggles with that more than anything else because he wants to fix it. He wants to resolve the problem. It's not a problem, it's a state of being, and sometimes that just cannot be changed.
I think that's what happened prior to his breakdown with the investors.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that works for him. All right, what are the top 3 things he values most in life? I think curiosity. I think curiosity is very important to him.
Are these the things he actually values, or are these the things he tells himself he values?
I think it's going to be the things he actually values is what we want to put here.
Okay. So I'm going to go with less curiosity and more thrill. He loves the accomplishment of a job well done. The accomplishment, the discovery of something new, it could be his theories being proven wrong, but in an interesting manner.
All right. What else does he value in life? I don't feel like personal relationships in terms of, you know, his family. I don't think that's going to be a particularly top thing for him. He's been pretty ostracized throughout his life for various reasons. So I don't think that's going to be quite as important to him. He's not in a position where we can just give him a pet that really matters to him because of what he's doing. I think one of the things he might value most in life is trust. Finding it, I think he probably really likes the fact that people have placed this trust in him to be doing this unique job, and that he really appreciates those people he feels he can trust to see a project through, to have his back, etc., etc. I think that would be really important to him.
I'm here for it.
He would have a familiar, just saying. What sort of thing are you thinking of there, Ed?
What is a familiar in our setting?
Yeah, expand on this thought, please, Ed.
Yes, Ed.
He thrives on being given trust by others and fulfilling that expectation. And he is also very appreciative of those individuals he feels he can trust totally to have his back and understand how he thinks about the world and his role in it. There we go. We'll give Ed a minute to respond, and I'm going to have some drink.
Yes, drink.
Hydration.
Yes, dehydration. Dehydration is important to the Libyans and the revolution.
Yes, hydrate so you don't dihydrate.
Yes. Hail, hydrate. United we drink, alone we die.
Bonded with a mug, so we can try to explain that to Sholny. Yes, this is my favourite mug. No one else is allowed to drink from it or touch it. This is my mug.
I am starting. Okay, Ed, if he has a muse from Eclipse Phase, I'm on board with it. I'm on board with it, but it has to be a unique, interesting muse. It can't be some. It can't be It has to be smaller than my bowler hat. It can't be the purple light behind my eyes. It has to be sort of something that grows with you. And I want to see the befuddled look on a ceratinoid multifocal eyes when they understand that the thing he's talking to has no psionic backdrop and yet is capable of thinking for itself on silicate circuitry.
I do remember Ed talking about these as being a thing, and yeah, I think his AI companion would definitely be something that he values very, very much, because it's, you know, it's an AI that's particularly attuned to everything that's important in his life, and is something that he can rely upon more than perhaps people who have somewhat ostracized him in his life. So yeah, I think that being something he values would be very important. You will have to, I think it's, oh no, I think you should design the details, Ed, because you've put all the work into the humans, and I think it's important that we reflect that in you know, what we put in front of people. So yeah, the AI could be an animal. Yeah, more work for you, Ed. It could be an animal. It could be an item he has with him. It could just be a little floating thing. I don't know. We'll let Ed decide that, I think, because Ed has done a lot of work.
I do want to float to Ed an idea or two.
Go for it.
Ed, just think. First of all, Ed, do you know muses from Eclipse Phase? Are you aware of these creatures? Vaguely. Okay, so what's going to happen is me and Ed are going to have a little chat, and we are going to info dump, and then we're going to let it cook in Ed's brain. Then we're going to see what happens when you let the AI talk to Ed. Yes, and I will only involve Butt in it from time to time. Okay, yes, great. So, not to looking into it. Great, look into it. Muses are great because it's a very nicely concise way of doing personalized AIs. It's like Tired German. Eclipse Phase is very, 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 very heavily influential in the creation. Eclipse Phase has been very influenced by Altered Carbon. It's in the list of things you need to see in all the Eclipse Phase has drawn enormously from Altered Carbon and quite a few other things, but Altered Carbon is very high up in there. The entire idea of cortical stacks comes from Altered Carbon and has transitioned fully to Eclipse Phase.
I look forward to seeing what you gentlemen bring back to me on this then. Right, our next thing we need to decide. An object he can't bear to be without, and why. And we're not going to include the AI as that object. This needs to be something mundane. For our library character, we said the...
Coffee mug.
For our library character, we said they couldn't bear to be without their first set of archaeological tools. So...
I'm sorry. If he doesn't have his coffee cooking... it specifically an ancient bronze cooking jar for coffee.
Anything you want to add to this, chat, or are we just going to give him a coffee mug that is his most prized possession? Mug or plushie? Well, plushies don't work so well underwater, but having a mug that he is very specific. Phillips head screwdriver and duct tape roll. No one should leave Earth without those.
Absolutely. Oh, wow.
We can give him both of those.
Yes. He can have the Phillips head screwdriver and the mug.
He is very attached to a specific mug he brought
It's
from
an ancient tinned bronze mug that's also that serves as a cooking pot as well.
That can be directly heated. But he has had it from his college days, and will not part with it, despite the nicks and dings it's taken over the years. It goes
It just
everywhere
tastes
with
different.
him.
Coffee doesn't taste the same without it.
And he drinks coffee out of it almost exclusively. And claims coffee doesn't taste right in any other vessel. He also always has a Phillips head screwdriver with him, though he isn't attached to a specific one, just to having one.
Yep.
Okay.
The single. Yep.
I'm not going to worry about describing a typical outfit for him from top to bottom, because part of that is going to be dependent on where we have him, because he's going to be doing a lot of wearing pressure suits and the like. So I'm not going to worry about that for him, because it's going to change based on what's going on. Right, next important thing. What is his method of manipulation? Everybody has a method of manipulation, of getting other people to do what they want, even when we're not using it maliciously. That's the sort of thing that we do. How does he go about getting what he wants in the world?
Come on, Wilf. I trust you. Come on, Wilf. I'm looking at you. I'm waiting.
To give you guys some ideas of how, you know, we manipulate the behaviors that we want from others, or to get what we want, you can be looking at positive reinforcement such as praise, sympathy, excessive apologizing, laughing and smiling, or we can use negative reinforcement such as gaslighting, some kind of punishment, emotional blackmail, guilt tripping. You've basically got those two things. Is he a positive reinforcement guy or a negative reinforcement guy? And which sort of way of doing that does he like to put to use? I think he'd be a positive reinforcement guy.
I think he is kind of a guy to look at and say he expects you to do the best, and then just ask you once you're done, is it the best you can do? If you say yes, wonderful. If you say no, he'll send you back to your room.
Say Jake made the mug with a family member that he's very fond of. Okay, let me go back to the mug then, because that is an interesting idea. The mug was cast during his college years as part of a project one summer with his dad back home. There we go. Okay, Jake tends to use positive reinforcement to manipulate others by giving gifts, praise, and affirmation to people who perform their tasks to the best of their ability, while he is standoffish and cold to those who do not. If he wants someone to do something for him, he will talk up their abilities and his trust in them, because trust is something that matters to him.
Yep.
until they feel compelled to meet that expectation of his. There we go. And again, manipulation isn't necessarily a bad thing. There's a reason that we have evolved to be able to do it. And it can be very beneficial. It can also be very negative. Right. Character goals. What is the best thing in the character's life? I think for him, the chance to study Shoal in person. I think the idea that he's allowed to be on an alien planet investigating the things that he loves is just the best thing for him. His work is currently the thing he loves the most.
Yep.
How is your character dissatisfied with their life? He feels like he doesn't belong anywhere and desperately wants that deeper level of connection and companionship, but doesn't know how to get it. What does your character believe will bring them true happiness or contentment? Excelling in his placement on Shoal and becoming a paragon of humanity to the Shoalie and gaining their
And embracing their wisdom.
recognition. He believes embodying their wisdom will bring him happiness. Which is, of course, the classic character foible of expecting happiness to come from an external source. You will never be happy if you cannot find happiness within yourself.
It's the pursuit of happiness. It's not the promise of getting it.
Yeah. What definitive step could they take to turn their dream into reality? Opening up in a genuine way to someone else, surely or otherwise, about his own insecurities, to connect on a deeper level than connect on a personal level and develop a true bond. How has their fear kept them taking this action already? He is worried telling the Shoalie about his full experience will corrupt them and that he isn't worthy of... Well, no, that's not going to be true. What did we say for his fear? Let's have another look over this.
That is some cool character. I want to see what he's up to. Jacob's going to do some cool stuff.
Yes. Yeah, so one of his big things, I mean, the thing that he doesn't really have in life is a sense of belonging, and trying to forge that sense of belonging is, for him, putting himself at risk of corrupting the Shoalie around him, or you know, interacting with Coral for the first time could cause a negative reaction.
Yeah.
Or expose him to the fact that he isn't good enough to interact with the Coral, and that would be an emotional blow he couldn't take. Okay, so he hasn't formed a truly genuine connection because he's worried to corrupt them. He also would need to fully realise Shoalie are just like us,
at the beginning,
and no better or worse. He is also afraid that if he attempts to interface with Coral and it doesn't work, he will not be able to handle the emotional blow, and he's scared of not being worthy. Okay. So how does he feel he can accomplish his goal while steering clear of the thing they're afraid of? Throwing himself into his work and studies, always being not quite ready to try new psionic tasks, deferring to Shoaley in situations when he could take his own initiative, and assuming he will find belonging when on some nebulous future date he doesn't have to actively plan for. Like, no, I'm not ready for it today, but I'm sure I will be tomorrow. All right, let's see if chat has had anything to ask in. Wolf says, don't ask me, I'm terrible at humans. Fair enough. Typical outfit is scuba chic. All right, I think we've got a good idea of how this guy works. I'm not going to go into pre-established relationships and conflicts yet, because that's easier to fill out when we've got, you know, all of our main cast. We've got 15 minutes left, which is not going to be enough time to really dig into our next main character. But what I think we can do is maybe have a look at surnames for our first character and make a decision about who our character we want to start detailing next week is going to be.
Okay.
So
I'm game. I'm just just pointing out that our next character is going to be either the Latical, the Seratonoid. It's like, it's either going to be the crab, or it's going to be the crab, or it's going to be the Latical.
yeah, I think doing either our Seratonoid mercenary or the Latical next would make sense, but we'll decide which of the two we're going to do. First of all, though, what surnames have we decided might be good for our Jake Human? Do we have any ones people want to throw at me as being good choices to draw from?
Okay, so I went over the list.
If you type them in chat for me, I can make a poll, and I'll be able to see them then, and that will make my life very easy.
Yes. So I'm going to...
Oh, there's one here that definitely needs to be on the list. Kahyu, if that's how it's pronounced, the daring one. Considering where he is, I like that one. So let's start a poll, and I can start plugging some of these in. Okay.
I wish to be recognized for my inner strength to not say Moana.
Okay, let's see what we've got. Age your work is very helpful. Wilford, okay. Okay, we have a list of the maximum amount we can have. No additional votes. 2 minutes. Start poll. There we go. There we go.
Thank you, Ed. I thought you'd appreciate it.
The only hard part is going to be is how pronounceable are all of these. But that is a worry for a future audiobook person and not for me.
Sullivan. John Sullivan.
Okay.
Sullivan. I like Leota. because it has that indigenous sort of a ring to it.
Mm-hmm. I don't think any of these are bad choices.
No, I don't think so. I just that forced man, that Salavau, Jacob Salavau, or
Even if
Jake
we had
Sal.
never chosen anything and we just decided that no, he's just going to be known as John Human, that you can still make that work, because for anybody who's familiar with The Amazing Shogun by James Clavell, they spend most of the time calling him by his title because it's easier to pronounce.
Well, you know what? If we'll get him to go through the entire Rogue Trader game in one piece, we'll get that. You know what? An attempt will be made, and the universe will be worse for wear because of it. But an attempt will be made.
I am very much looking forward to this Rogue Trader game and seeing what nonsense we get up to. But being in a TTRPG with Squick is going to be a time.
I had to explain it to one of my guys around here, and I said the very first session, is going to be all about the Lederhosen and the birthday cake.
Yes.
And they should tell you everything you need to know about the way things are going to go.
Okay, Okay, this is now Jacob Salavau. We have our first character ready, basically, to go. We've got some more work we can do on him, but we understand him well enough. We could start writing him if we wanted to. All right.
Does he ask other people to call him Sal or Jake?
Could be both. Jake for his personal acquaintances, Sal for work acquaintances, perhaps. Right, who next? Ceratinoid mercenary or latical mentor?
The wise.
Okay, we'll start that poll, and that will decide who we start detailing next week. And still give us enough time to get out of here before it is Striker's slot and he comes and hits me with the banhammer.
Banhammer.
I miss playing TTRPGs. I've missed it to Polygrammatic Groth Drop. I haven't played a TTRPG in quite a few years at this point, so it will be very, very fun.
Yes.
The last one I was majorly involved in was a Pathfinder campaign that Iden was running that was just wonderful. I had a very fun time playing my Desert Witch character, whose entire goal in life was given to her by her god, which was go forth and find cool shit. And so I did. It was a fun time.
If you did your job correctly, you'll never be out of a job.
Yeah, and that was the whole thing, was I didn't let me sort of develop the culture that my character came from, and for many of the other people from her tribe who had the powers and were expected to fulfill this, you know, they'd stay relatively local, they'd go and find some cool shit in the nearby area and come back, and she was like, no, I'm gonna go like miles abroad into the wastelands and find the coolest shit. And so she disappeared off to another country and had a great time. It was very fun. It was also the game where my second character was Kazim, the kobold, who ended up being just Kobold Hercules, but he wanted to be Shakespeare. His whole thing was that he wanted to open a theatre that would have kobolds as the stagehands, because nobody notices kobolds.
That's pretty wise for a kobold.
He brought the feels in that game. It was fun. I really enjoyed playing him. He was a great character.
When the kobold is the one to bring the feels.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. There was a tomb that we'd been to, and it had a okay, we have a tie. Who wins? You break the tie, Lictor.
I break the tie?
Yep. Which are we doing next time?
I'm going to go with the Latical Mentor, because I think we'll know more about what do we need out of the Ceratinoid after we figure out the Latical.
Okay. So next time we are doing the Latical Mentor figure, and we will figure that out when we come back next week.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, that'll be a fun time. That'll be a very fun time. I think we've been productive this week. We've done good work. We've done very good
I
work.
think so too. We have eras now.
We do.
We know when.
We can
We
attach
know when
dates
things
to
happen.
things. Yes. We can
Yes,
attach
we've
dates to
done.
things and make pretty spreadsheets. And oh, it'll be wonderful.
It'll be wonderful, and we'll have so many days. And if we won't, now we just need to somehow. How do they say it in that book I'm reading now? Scalpel.
Scarpa, yes, that is an excellent slang term for flee like cockroaches to the farthest corners.
Very good. So we should scalpel before Stryker comes after us and
Yes.
strikes us down.
Yes, yes. Striker often comes with the banhammer, and I wish to avoid it.
Yes.
Well,
We
thank
sh-
you
we who shall not
everybody
be
for
there.
joining us this week and for continuing this crazy nonsense. We've done amazing things. We've done amazing things. I'm very excited for this book we're going to write and all the cool things that we've put together and all the input that everyone has had into the setting and just the little callbacks. It's a fun time. It's very cozy. It's cozy in here, despite the war crimes.
Cozy. Despite the war crimes and despite the fact that I don't have my mug with me.
Yes, yes. We're all going to need to find our special mugs for next week. And pray that nobody sends me any more books to read. It's become a threat. I have been sent a book is now a threat.
Ed, you and I are going to have a talk. That's. This is it. We're going to have a talk.
Good
You
luck,
don't have
Ed.
to do it. We're going to have a talk and prepare your lederhosen. It's going to be it's an official event. You need your lederhosen on.
Yes, yes. It's very important to bring the ship's lederhosen, official mascot lederhosen, with you.
You don't have to be Eddie. Just make sure you have your lederhosen.
Yes.
The tech priest will do the rest.
Photocopy
all
a
right.
dummy mummy, yes. Right, we're getting out of here on that note. Have a wonderful weekend, chat. I will see you on Sunday for a special long edition of WBPLW. Starting at, what time is it going to be for you guys? 7 p.m. 7 p.m. EST. WBPLW starts on Sunday. I will be here for admin and look forward to seeing you all. Have a wonderful weekend. Be good to each other and bye.
Bye.